Does the host have her on mute?
Hello, this is Rosario. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Well, folks, we're just going to give this a couple more minutes for people to sign on. We know that there are always a little bit of a technical difficulty getting on, so we'll just give this another minute. We'll get started.
Hi, BJ. It's good to see you.
You too, Fred. Hi.
This remote interaction, at least we have some.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Is your book doing okay?
I believe so. I also believe we're being recorded.
Oops. Cecile gave me a copy of it. I need you to sign it.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to.
Well, okay, folks, I think we'll get started here. Welcome, everyone, to our virtual press conference for Incredible Parks Want Incredible Names. I'm Peter McGraw. I'm the spokesperson for the Port of Seattle. Today's event is being recorded and will be available to the public later this afternoon. We will be hearing from Commissioner Fred Fellman and Commission Vice President Fred Fellman, George Lee of the Parks Foundation, Rosario Medina and BJ Cummings from the Citizens Review Committee. And they'll actually be reviewing the top 3 park names for each of the 6 parks along the Duwamish. We will be taking your questions after the names are revealed, so feel free to type those up and send them to us, or just raise your hand after the presentation. And again, a full recording will be made available this afternoon. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Port of Seattle Commissioner and Commission Vice President Fred Fellman.
Thanks, Peter. Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us today. I'm Port of Seattle Commission Vice President Fred Fellman, and I'm delighted you can all be part of this exciting chapter in the Port's history. Your involvement amongst the thousands of other participants who've made this engagement in the renaming of our Port-owned properties reaffirms that the Port really is the public's port. However, I must recognize these are challenging times, and there's an apparent irony of renaming parks when we're being told you can't even go outside due to the smoke from the wildfires, which just a couple of weeks ago, we were told just last week that this is one of the few things we could do because of the pandemic. The forest fires are made even more fierce by climate change, only compounded by the air quality impacts these communities have already been exposed to. These increasing occurrences underscore the importance of these parks to both the public's quality of life and to the habitat for fish and wildlife. Now, these aren't just any 6 port parks. They're really hidden gems up and down the Duwamish River and they deserve names that better reflect their cultural history, biological significance, and importance to public access, rather than merely numbers. The Coast Salish people have recognized this since time immemorial, and I'd like to take a moment to recognize and honor that the Port of Seattle operates on the ancestral lands and waters of the Coast Salish people. Their contributions to our culture, our economy, and our environment continue to this day. We're especially grateful for the important and enduring partnerships with tribal communities as reflected in this project from start to finish. In addition, these parks are to being just places, not just, but places of peace and recreation for community members of all walks of life. These shorelines are also vital habitat for restoration. They're part of the port's efforts to recover the aquatic ecosystems we've been entrusted with. This includes the food chain which supports our threatened and endangered salmon and southern resident orca community. This project also raised awareness and brought together local communities that have already had and continue to hold a deep connection to the river. Thank you to so many of you community members, especially in the Duwamish Valley, who participated so far in this effort. So many of you helped by spreading the word, researching names, learning each site's history, and visiting the parks this summer to inform your park name proposals. These are truly incredible parks and they deserve incredible names. We appreciate all you've done to answer the call, but there's still more to do. I'd like to especially thank our 8 review committee members, some of whom you'll meet today, for all your hard work reviewing and evaluating the thousands of nominations that came in. They had a difficult task of narrowing down the shortlisted names to best match the project's criteria, but the results are clear. They did a superb job. We appreciate your expertise and commitment to honoring the stories and perspectives that the public shared with you during this process. And finally, thank you to the Seattle Parks Foundation for partnering with our talented staff early on to design a process that centers equity, transparency, and community voice. Their hard work helped us reach this milestone and will help us get to the finish line with new incredible names in October. Now I'll turn it over to George Lee of the Seattle Parks Foundation, who will tell us a little more about the project, where we started, how we got here, and what's coming up ahead. I look forward to hearing the final decisions. Please join me in virtually welcoming.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Commissioner Fellman. And thank you, everyone, for being here this afternoon. First, I would like to show you the next slide of the broad coalition of stakeholder review committee members. This is just an incredible group of people from the region, from the place. And they're associated with many organizations. These are hardworking people, and they have organizations listed here that are especially important. So Magdalena Angel Cano with Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition, Rosario Maria Medina, Friends of Georgetown History, Warren King George of the Muckleshoot Tribe, Dennis Loark, Suquamish Tribe, Delegate Sharon Leishman, Duwamish Alive Coalition, BJ Cummings, University of Washington Superfund Research Program, George Blomberg, Port of Seattle Maritime Environmental, and Al Grant, Marine Maintenance. So we started working together with the Port and the Seattle Parks Foundation and the Review Committee, other community-based organizations, and to help design the process to be to prioritize equity, to develop equity guidelines, and to develop equity actions that we would take throughout the process and throughout the planning, the nomination, the scoring, and we've really tried hard to make that process as strong as possible. So we created the website nameincredibleparks.org to be a straightforward tool and that's attractive to use. Also, we set up a telephone hotline, and we also had postcards that were dropped off strategically, considering the pandemic. And so together, we found these tools formed a good combination for public outreach, in this unique time. We received over 3,500 nominations. We had over 17,000 page views on the website. We had 9,100 unique visitors on the website, all between July 24th and August 31st. So, although, it could always be broader, we felt this was an acceptable participation. So the review committee just completed their review of all the names to create the 3 finalists per park. And that was done by getting eligible names, doing several rounds of private scoring, doing a round robin and open discussions, and using a technique called progressive stacking to prioritize equity in the discussions. Scoring is going to follow this meeting, this press conference, starting at 12:45 p.m. today and be open until 11:59 p.m. on September 30th. And also in consultation with tribal historians, the port will ensure linguistic accuracy, pronunciation, and signage legibility for all names. So now to the finalist names. We have 2 stakeholder review committee members who are going to announce them, Rosario Maria Medina and BJ Cummings. And so now I'm going to pass it over to Rosario with T105 Park name finalists.
Thanks, George, for the introduction. My name is Rosario. I'm on the review committee. And for Terminal 105 Park, the top 3 nominations are Hermoso Park, Habitat Area, Tulo Village Park and Habitat Area, Tulo Memorial Park and Habitat Area. Next park is Terminal 107. Terminal 107 Park nominations are Duwamish Bend Park and Habitat Area, Hahapus Village Park and Habitat Area, Yaliquid and Habitat Area, Yaliquid Park and Habitat Area. The next park is Terminal 108, Sicas Park and Habitat Area, Sapqua Park and Habitat Area, Chabchabid Park and Habitat Area. And I apologize if I mispronounced any of those park names. Now I'll pass it over to BJ Cummings.
BJ, you're on mute. BJ, you're on mute.
Hi, thank you for that. And thanks for inviting me to be part of the process. It's been really exciting to be part of imbuing these fabulous parks with names that reflect their really rich cultural and environmental significance in their history. So I'm inviting everybody out there to also join with your neighbors and fellow community members in visiting the website and voting on your preference among these final names for these really iconic Duwamish River parks. We're going to go on to 8th Avenue Street End, the 8th Avenue South Street End. And the 3 finalists for the name of this park in South Park is Gear Park and Habitat Area, Taas Utsid Park and Habitat Area, which means where there's something passing overhead, and the Decolores Park and Habitat Area. Next, we're going to look at the finalist names for Terminal 117, also in South Park. And the finalists are South Park Shores Park and Habitat Area, Duwamish River Peoples Park and Habitat Area, and Kiawalapsud Park and Habitat Area, meaning eel's throat. And then finally, Turning Basin number 3. The finalists for this area is Restoration Park and Habitat Area, Salmon Cove Park and Habitat Area, and Taatskid Park and Habitat Area, a descriptive word meaning a shortcut when traveling upstream. Thank you very much.
And Peter, are you going to open it up for questions and answers?
Well, we certainly are. Let us know if you have any questions. Feel free to send them in writing or raise your hand if we see any hands. And certainly, we're more than happy to answer any questions in the coming weeks. And any kind of follow-up information you may want, feel free to get in touch. We got one question here asking, how were the different languages translated?
Okay, I'm going to answer that. Thanks for that question. The different languages were, there were two different Lashutseed checks by tribal specialists. The most recent check by Warren of the Muckleshoot tribe, Warren King George of the Muckleshoot tribe, and the Spanish was double or triple checked by different Spanish speakers to ensure various aspects of that made sense and were correct.
Great, thanks, George. Another question here. Has the city of Seattle been contacted for renaming the right-of-way? Kind of a more technical question there. We can, if no one knows off the top of their head, we can certainly provide that answer before the end of the week, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll have to answer that later. Not sure right now.
Okay, great. Another question. Was there a reason the Duwamish tribe was not represented on the review panel?
Yeah, I can speak to that. The Duwamish organization tribe was the we had several members on the member on the review panel who is associated with the Duwamish Longhouse. We also did reach out to members of the Duwamish tribe after receiving the name nominations to check them. We also involved members of the Duwamish tribe in our outreach materials, and we also have involved Muckleshoot and Suquamish tribes, and one of our Lashutseed language checkers is of Duwamish heritage. So although outreach can always be deeper and broader, we felt that we did an acceptable job in doing outreach, but we're always open to more feedback and suggestions.
Okay, great. Thanks for your answer, George. Well, we certainly want to let folks know that we are always open to answer more questions throughout this process. But for the sake of time and folks' schedules, feel free to have a great day. It may not be, as was pointed out, the best time to be in any of these parks, but hopefully soon here this weekend, we'll all be able to enjoy better air quality along these parks in the Duwamish. Thank you again for joining us. And again, any questions you have, feel free to send them our way.
And don't forget to score your names on the website starting at 12:45 today, nameincredibleparks.org.
Thanks so much for your participation.